get going on their stuff. So
Yeah, I just want to welcome everybody on the call, and I hope you can hear me okay. You know that Infusion Business Venture stands for Infusion is our name and Ventures is our game. And the reason why you're on the call this morning is because with Infusion Business Ventures, there are endless possibilities. So we're very happy to have Michael on the call, and he's already started off. And, you know, the reason why I invited him is because he was where so many of us are today. And, you know, he had so many ideas, and he wanted to grow his business. And he actually did it. You know, when I started, I felt like every time I blinked, another month had gone by, and I've not implemented anything. I could just feel myself getting slower and slower with fatigue, and my energy was really draining away. And then one morning, I realized that my business was not fun anymore. And you know what? I absolutely love to coach all kinds of people. But pretty soon I was feeling worse than my clients. And that's when I met Michael. And he pretty soon figured out exactly what was going on. I was totally overwhelmed, and he was totally phenomenal, because he step by step led me through a process where I could see for myself that I was trying to do it all and be all at the same time. You know, I was working insane hours with very little sleep and no pleasure or downtime. And he introduced me to an alternative. I had actually never before thought of getting help in my business. I thought that it was bad enough and complicated enough to just get myself through it, let alone setting up payment systems and employment systems and all of those things. It was just absolutely a bridge too far for me. And when Michael assured me that I didn't have to do all of those things, I felt like somebody had lifted a weight off my shoulders. But I'm going to let Michael speak for himself and share with you exactly what he shared with me that day. So, Michael, thank you for being here with us today. And, you know, as I mentioned, you started off just like us, and you built your career and your business, and therefore you understand what we are going through. And I trust you because I know you're not standing on the sidelines. You're like that athlete that has already broken through and won the race, and now you're looking back and you're coming back to fix the stragglers that are all of us. So thank you for coming to fix us this morning, and I know you're the best person to tell us about yourself, so I'm going to hand over to you now, and please share your story with us.
all right, on. Well, thank you so much, Yolanda, and I appreciate you and everybody on the call today for taking the time to learn more about virtual assistants and how they can help each of us in our businesses. And I got to tell you, you know, Yolanda, you really hit the nail on the head. We've all been there before. We've all started as kind of the Lone Ranger, and we're going to talk about my story in just a second. But before we get started, I really want to share with you what is a virtual assistant. I really want you all to kind of think about what is a virtual assistant. And you know, ultimately, a virtual assistant is anyone who performs work for you from a location other than your own. And what that means is they could be across the street, they could be across the world, but ultimately, if they're providing you a service, whether it's bookkeeping or telemarketing or web development design or executive assistance or anything like that, if they're providing a service for you from this remote location, then they are considered a virtual assistant. So the definition of virtual assistants is very, very broad, and they can do a ton of things. And we'll talk about a lot of those things here in just a little bit. As we get started, I want to let you know what I'm about to show you, and that is, you know, why top businesses hire virtual assistants and why you should too. Hopefully, we'll change your perception of virtual assistants forever and help you realize that there's a lot more than they can do than just data entry and low-level tasks. I mean, these can be very, very high-level people, and yet can be acquired at a very affordable rate. I'm going to show you how to find the right virtual assistant. And that does not necessarily mean that you have to use our company. I mean, sure, we'd love to work with you, but I'm going to show you how you can do it on your own. If you prefer to just go out there and figure it out on your own, I'll kind of help you with that. We're also going to show you how to know when and if you're ready for a virtual assistant. Because frankly, you may or may not be ready in your business for a virtual assistant right now. And if you are, fantastic. And even if you're not, that's okay. I want you to reach out to us. We're going to help you out. Even if you're not quite ready yet, let's at least stay in contact. And when the time is right for you, we'll get this taken care of for you. Also, we're going to show you how you can test drive a virtual assistant absolutely free for a full week, so that you can see if having a virtual assistant is the right thing for you, and if that particular virtual assistant is the right person for you. And so we're going to give everyone, as a part of, being a part of Yolanda's program, you're going to get access to a full week of virtual assistant time for free with no obligation. Now, let's start off with this. Let me talk to you about how I went from being the Lone Ranger to becoming a world-class team builder, and more importantly, how you can too. I always tell people I'm a recovering real estate agent. I sold real estate for 20 years, and in the beginning, in my second year of selling real estate, my parents came to me and recommended that I get a job at McDonald's. And I was a little dismayed by this, but their contention was, hey, Michael, you'd make more money if you were working for McDonald's. And I was thinking, well, gosh, I'm the #1 agent in my office, and yet I was broke. And so what did that say about everybody else in the office? They were even broker than I was, right? And so I wasn't ready to give in. I wasn't ready to concede defeat yet. And so I did what you guys have done in regards to Yolanda. I went and I found an expert. I found somebody who knew what I needed to do and where I needed to go and how I needed to make this happen. And I attended a seminar that this person put on. And this person said something that hit me like a ton of bricks. He said, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. Now think about that for a moment. He said this to the entire audience. He said, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And I thought to myself, wow, that's powerful, because the fact of the matter is, if I don't have an assistant, I'm doing the type of work that an assistant should be doing, and that's keeping me from doing the work that I need to do. It's keeping me from going out and bringing in business. It's keeping me from taking care of the business that I have, and I'm spending all this time doing things that someone else can be doing at a much lower rate than what my time is worth. And that was, by the way, a big part of it. This started off with, I had to recognize that my time had value, and it had greater value than doing administrative tasks that someone else could do for me. Well, I took his advice to heart, and I hired my first assistant. And I got to tell you, it went very, very well. In fact, this person who I hired 4 years later became my wife. And I always jokingly tell people that's when I went to work for her. It's funny. We have a rule in our house, by the way. Any man that says he wears the pants in the family probably lies about other things too. So anyway, Tara came on board. She helped me out, and she helped me grow that company, let me tell you, to 44 employees. And it was a long ride over 20 years. It was great. And we made a lot of money, met a lot of good people, and a lot of friends. And I got to tell you, when we grew to that point where we had about 44 employees, our payroll was about $125,000 a month. And that's pretty scary. You think about it, you wake up every day and you think, okay, I've got to make $125,000 this month in payroll, not counting all my other overhead, advertising, office space, all that stuff. Just in payroll, I had $125,000. And it was kind of freaking me out. I'll be honest with you. It was concerning to me, and I started calling my buddies that had big real estate practices around the country, and I started asking them, well, how are you guys dealing with this? What are you doing about your administrative assistants and your overhead for payroll and that sort of thing? And they started suggesting virtual assistants to me. And, I got to be honest, at this point in my career, I was new to the whole virtual assistant thing. I really didn't know much about them. I didn't know, how would I find them? How would I interview them? How would I, test them and vet them to make sure they're the right person? How would I hire them? How would I pay them? How would I assign tasks to them? How would I know that they're working hard? I had more questions than answers at that point. And it was worrisome to me, but I trusted my friends. I knew that they had found a way to make it work, and I was convinced that, if they can make it work, I can make it work. Well, that being said, I reluctantly hired my first virtual assistant. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be honest, I kind of was hoping it would fail. And the reason is because I was kind of hoping I could go back to my friends and say, see, I told you it wouldn't work. But almost to my dismay, it worked. And not only did it worked really, really well. This person was a fantastic asset to our team, did very well for us, And before long, my wife and my office manager both came to me and they said, "Hey, Michael, we want a virtual assistant too." So they started asking me to hire a virtual assistant for each of them. Well, not to be sideways with my office manager or my wife, I agreed, and so I went and hired 2 more. Well, out of those first 3 virtual assistants, 2 of them were fantastic. One of them was a disaster and needed to be let go. So let me ask you this: when you fire somebody locally, how easy is that? Is that something that's easy to do or hard to do? And I'll just give you the answer. The truth of the matter is sometimes it can be very difficult to fire somebody locally because they can do things like they can go to the state and say they were wrongfully terminated, or they can say, "Oh, I worked all this overtime that I didn't get paid for," whether they did or not. They can say that they're being discriminated against, or for whatever reason. I mean, there's all kinds of things they can do to make your life very difficult when you have to let someone go. Well, this person, keep in mind, was a virtual assistant, and they were located overseas. And so I thought to myself, well, gosh, do I need to build a case? No. Do I need to, create a file? Do I need to be very careful about how I let this person go? No. I literally felt like Donald Trump. I simply sent off an email, and it was kind of like that Donald Trump thing. You're fired, right? I sent an email off saying your services are no longer required, and we'll send you your last payment. And that was it. Literally, that was it. I didn't hear from them again. I didn't have any challenges with the state. I didn't have to fight with the state or the government because I let this person go. And I was able to replace them with another virtual assistant who was 10 times better and was even better than the other 2 that I had on the team at the time. And oh my gosh, it went fabulously. I thought, wow, that was easy. And so I started looking around the office. I started thinking, wow, well, who else can I take virtual? What other positions can I move to virtual positions? And I literally took my entire office virtual. Now, let me tell you, this is huge in a lot of ways, not just because I was saving money on payroll, but for all kinds of reasons. Now, on the payroll, I went from spending $125,000 a month to just over $40,000 a month using virtual assistants. That's a savings of 68%, or $85,000 a month, without having to do another transaction, without having to bring another dollar in. I literally was able to put $85,000 a month in my pocket. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big deal. And by the way, that's where the savings began. So just on the employees, I was saving on my wages and salaries, but I was also saving on the employment taxes, which is huge. If I pay someone $15 an hour, by the time I pay Social Security, Medicare, and employment tax and all that other stuff, I'm actually at $21 an hour. You think about that. That's a lot of money. All of that went away. I wasn't paying any of that anymore. I didn't have to pay labor and industries or workers' comp, Social Security, Medicare. The office chit-chat went away. Let me tell you, office chit-chat is a very big deal, and it costs you money. Hopefully you all are aware of that. But, man, let me tell you, office chit-chat can be crazy expensive. Drama in the office is another thing that can be very expensive. So all of that went away. The office chit-chat, the office drama, all of it went away. Now, we also saved in other ways that were unanticipated, things that I didn't even think of. We got rid of the actual office because now all of my employees were virtual. I actually kept about 5 employees that worked for me locally, but I sent them home too. I told them they needed to go work from their homes. So now I had all these VAs, and I had my 5 local people that I made them go work from home, which, by the way, they loved and appreciated. And so now they were working from home. So my entire team was virtual. I got rid of the office. No more long-term leases, no more triple nets, no more insurance, no more telephone or internet, no more telephone systems to maintain, no more office equipment, no more copiers, no more computers, both of which need maintenance, and you have to pay people to maintain those things. I got rid of the desks, the chairs. I got rid of the cubicles, the plants, the lights, everything. It all went away. And you think about that, that is staggering expensive. It is incredibly expensive to take care of all those issues. And now all of them were gone. I didn't have to worry about any of them. All right. So obviously from a financial standpoint, it was fantastic. And all of those are great reasons to have virtual assistants. Let me share with you my favorite reason to have virtual assistants. Have you ever felt like you were married to your phone or your email? Have you ever been on a trip with a loved one and had them say, honey, could you please remove the phone? Can we perform a cell phone-ectomy and remove that phone from your ears so that you can actually spend time with us, your family, or your loved ones? Have you ever felt like you've always got to check in on your email and all that? And because if you don't, your business is falling apart when you're not there. Man, let me tell you, we've all been through that. We've all had those days in our life. Well, I'm a real believer that for me, the number one reason to have a virtual assistant is the quote that you see at the bottom of your screen. And that is that no success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. I'm going to read that back to you again. No success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. Now think really hard on that. Have you ever felt like you had to choose between your family and supporting their family? If you ever it felt like you had to choose between being able to financially afford the things that you and your family need to survive, but unfortunately that's going to conflict with you being able to spend time with your family or whoever it is, or doing whatever it is you want to spend time doing. Well, let me tell you, when I took my office virtual, once I get rid of all that, everything went virtual, I literally took 6 weeks off. And my family and I, and that's in the picture you see is my wife and our 2 wonderful kids, and that's us in front of a mountain in Europe. I'll give you a hint, and if you can tell me what mountain that is, I'd be interested to see. Go ahead and type into your questions box there, what mountain do you think that is in the background? I'd be interested to see who can get that. But we took 6 weeks off, and we went to Europe, and we traveled all over Europe, and we had the time of our lives, and that entire time we were gone, guess what? I didn't check my email. I didn't check my voicemail. I stuck a couple of posts on Facebook, with pictures of our trip, but that was it. I didn't connect with my office in any way, shape, or form. And oh, by the way, my business grew while we were gone. Now think about that. It grew while we were gone. Okay, I see a couple of people have thrown in the questions box there that they've got some answers. They think they know what mountain that is. If you haven't already stuck yours in there, what mountain do you think that is in the background? No, that is not Mount Rainier in Seattle. No, that is not Denali. Those are great guesses, but those are both in America. This is in Europe. No, that is not Mont Blanc. And look at this. I've got a couple here that think that might be the Matterhorn. And yes, in fact, that is correct. That is the Matterhorn. And let me tell you, that is one of my favorite places on the face of this planet. It's a town called Zermatt. If you ever get the chance to travel to Europe, take the time to go to Zermatt. That's Zermatt. It's in Switzerland. And what you're looking at is the Swiss side of the Matterhorn. In the wintertime, it's cool. You can actually ski the Swiss and the Italian side of the Matterhorn in the same day. It's pretty neat. But, man, I got to tell you, in the spring and summer, most beautiful place on the planet. Absolutely amazing. But you're not here to hear about the Matterhorn. I just wanted to share with you that by going virtual, I was literally able to take all that time off and have my business grow without me because I had a great team of virtual assistants back home taking care of business on my behalf. Great stuff. And by the way, as we go along through our webinar today, as you have questions, feel free to type those into your question box, and I will get to them. And if not right away, I will for sure try and get to those by the end of the webinar. All right, VAs come in all shapes and sizes. Let's talk about this. Their backgrounds vary, their skill sets vary, their pay ranges vary. It makes a big difference if you're hiring globally versus hiring just in the U.S. It makes a difference in how much they cost, and it also makes a difference in the skill sets you can get. Believe it or not, you can get better skill sets for less money in other parts of the world because instead of having just U.S. people to choose from, you now have everyone in the world to choose from. And believe it or not, they will work for very affordable rates. I call it my Saving American Small Business Plan. And what I mean by that is it's tough running a small business in America today, isn't it? I don't know about you, but running a small business today is tougher than ever for us. And we have found that what has been our saving grace, what has really saved our bacon, is the ability to hire extraordinary talent from other parts of the world at affordable prices. All right, long-term versus project. Am I hiring somebody on a long-term basis, or am I just hiring them for a short project? And when you hire them long-term, you actually save money on the hourly rate because they know, even if you're only using them for 2.5 hours a week, at least they know that you're going to use them for a long period of time, over the next, 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever. They have the sense that this is going to be a career for them, even if it's only a few hours a week. Quality versus price. One of the things you want to decide before you begin hiring virtual assistants is what is most important to you. Are you looking primarily for quality, or are you looking primarily for price? And the reason I bring that up, for me, I've never been a believer in hiring the Walmart of VAs. I've always been a believer in the being the Nordstroms of VAs and hiring the Nordstroms of VAs. Give you an example. If I want cheap tube socks, I'll go to Walmart. But if I want a really nice suit that I'm going to be on stage in front of thousands of people with, I'm going to go to Nordstrom's and find a really nice suit at Nordstrom's. Well, when it comes to my business, I don't want cheap tube socks. When it comes to my business, I want that nice suit from Nordstrom's. I want my business to put its best foot forward. I want to build a team of ninjas around me. Well, doing so means that I need to select great people at affordable prices rather than simply focusing on price. Now, you may say, nope, all I care about is price. That's okay. There's VAs out there that are super inexpensive, and I'll show you how to find them as well. But for me, I choose to find really, really talented people at affordable prices. So what can a VA do? What can they actually do for you on a daily basis? Keep in mind, they can accomplish anything that doesn't require physical presence in your office. I'll give you some examples. Like real estate agents and mortgage brokers often use them as listing or transaction coordinators. Bookkeeping is very, very common. I have a lot of clients using virtual assistants for bookkeepers. And to give you an idea on pricing, in the United States, if you were to hire a bookkeeper in the United States, you're going to pay somewhere between $25 and $65 an hour. When you hire a bookkeeper abroad, you're going to pay between $9 and $11 an hour, and they're going to be as good or better than the bookkeepers you would hire in the States. As an example, my bookkeeper is in the Philippines, and I've had lots of bookkeepers that worked for me on my staff here locally in the United States, and I got to tell you, my bookkeeper in the Philippines is better than all of them. I love her. And, by the way, I only pay her $9 an hour. That is a great bargain. That's hiring quality people at an affordable price. Receptionist. There's actually, you can have someone, even if they're halfway around the world, they could be answering the phones in your office. Did you know that? It's actually really easy. There's a program out there called Ring Central. It's cheap. I think it's like $20 a month or something like that. And what it will do is you can have the phone simultaneously ring at your office and at your virtual assistant, and whoever picks it up first handles the call. Man, let me tell you, you want to take customer service to the next level, do that. You can have that ring at several different locations at the same time if you would like to. In fact, you can even have your virtual assistant set up so that when they call people, when they call your clients, the caller ID looks like they're calling from your local office number. Let me tell you, technology has really made this possible, and it's fabulous what can be done out there for very, very affordable prices. Another use that a lot of people use virtual assistants for are telemarketers and appointment setters. This is one of my favorite uses, especially for small business, because one of the things that you have to do, we have to get away from thinking, oh, I can just email people and business is going to fall in my lap. You've got to understand that when you connect with people voice to voice, you have a better chance of connecting with them at a deeper level and ending up doing business with them. Appointment setters are great. I have appointment setters that work for me, and so what happens is they call all the people that want to talk to me, and they set up an appointment time. So every half hour on the half hour during the days that I work, I have appointments all set up for me. So my time is extremely efficient. So I'm not leaving messages. I'm not trying to track people down. I'm calling people that are there, that are ready to talk to me at that time. Super, super, super efficient. A lot of people do this with their telemarketing inside their business. They'll have telemarketers that get people interested in doing business with them, and then they'll have their closers that are these rock star closers. And so the telemarketers will set the appointment for the closer. The closer will then talk to that person and solidify the transaction. Super, super, super effective. Obviously, search engine optimization, blogging, social media, website design and development, all very, very popular. I'll tell you, from website design and development standpoint, this is one that we've been doing a ton of lately. And let me tell you, to hire a really great web designer or developer in the United States, you're going to pay upwards of $100 an hour. On the very, very, very low end, you'll be at $65 an hour. But for somebody decent, you're going to be between $100 and $125. Okay. Are website designers and developers? $25 an hour, and they're the best I've ever seen. I mean, these guys are amazing. They do sales pages, splash pages. They do API work. They do one-click upsells. They know Infusionsoft, Aweber, iContact, MailChimp. I mean, you name it. These guys are amazing, and they're cheap for $25 an hour all in, and you don't have to pay any taxes or fees or anything on top of that. That's a bargain. And they do the best work I've ever seen, and they're quick. That's the other thing. So I'm not paying for extra hours because somebody decides that it's going to take them a little too long to do the project. These guys are actually very, very quick and very good and very efficient at what they do. Client care coordinator, another great position that you can hire for. Research. A lot of clients are using their VAs for research, whether it's researching foreclosures or researching blog topics or researching whatever. I mean, you name it. They can research anything you can imagine. I actually have had clients that use them. Well, heck, I've done this. When I want to buy something, let's say I want to buy a new pair of shoes, I'll take a picture. In fact, I just did this recently. I took a picture of the shoes that I had that I really liked. I couldn't remember where I bought them, and so I just took a photo of them, and I emailed that to my virtual assistant. And I said, hey, could you do me a favor and go find me a pair of shoes like this, and here's my size, and find me a pair of shoes. Anyway, so my assistant went out and found them and priced them and found the cheapest pair I could get for it was great. I saved money and I got the shoes I needed, and I didn't have to screw around spending 2 or 3 hours doing the research on it. It was great. All right. More things. Data entry, managing your client relationship management software, checking and handling your emails and voicemails. Now, I want to talk to you about this real quick. How many hours do you suppose the average person spends each day on email and voicemail? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's between 3 and 4 hours a day that the average person spends checking their emails and voicemails and responding to them and that sort of thing. Now, I want you to think about your emails and voicemails for a minute, and I want you to divide them into 3 categories. If you think about it, there's a third of your emails and voicemails you and only you can deal with. They're really things that you need to personally handle. Then there's kind of the bottom third, which is all your junk and spam and all this and solicitors and stuff that just needs to go away. And then there's this middle third that a well-trained assistant could handle for you. Now, if you think about it, what that really means is 2/3 of all your emails or voicemails, or easily 2 hours a day of email and voicemail time, could be taken off your plate. So think about this. If all a virtual assistant could do for you is save you 2 hours a day of your time on your emails and your voicemails, how much more efficient could you be with that time? How many more clients could you bring through the door if somebody was taking care of those 2 hours for you? How much more free time would you have to spend with your family if someone was taking care of all that for you? It's huge. It really does make a difference, and not only in your business but in your life. And really, by the way, this is really not just about growing your business and saving money and increasing income. It's also about getting your life back and having that freedom in your life. I'll give you an example. I work a 3.5-day week now. I love it. I used to be that guy working 7 days a week, and now I work a 3.5-day week. I make a good living, and I have a great life. I have balance in my life. I have time to spend with my kids. I have time to spend with my wife. I have time for myself. I have time to do the things that I enjoy doing, as well as taking great care of my clients. And it's huge. And let me tell you, that there's this quality of life that only comes when you have time at your disposal. All right, managing your calendar, booking your flights and your hotel, programming your brain for success, building mobile apps. This is another one we've had a lot of clients using recently. If you've ever wanted to build a mobile app or anything like that, we've done a lot of that lately. Chief financial officer, project director, transcriptionists, graphics designers. Maybe you want your kids to learn an instrument or a language. Maybe you want to create full motion animated videos. We've hired people that are literally Disney quality CGI graphics folks. I mean, literally really high end, like the kind of people that create movies like Toy Story or Ice Age. I mean, just really cool stuff. Literally, if you can think of it, if you can imagine it in your mind, there's a VA out there that can do it. I mean, what would you use a VA for? If you could have a VA do anything in the world, what would you use a VA for? What would you love to have taken off your plate today? What would you love to make sure is getting done that may or may not be getting done in your business or in your life today? There's all kinds of things. So use your imagination. Be creative. Now, let's talk about some truths about VAs. Many of them speak perfect English. Have you ever called, like, and I shouldn't name any particular companies, but have you ever called like Aquan or United Airlines or, somebody, and you get the person in India that you can't even understand, and, or maybe you called Microsoft tech support recently and had this experience, or you can't even understand them half the time. Let me tell you, that's frustrating, and nobody wants to deal with that. And guess what? You can prevent that from happening. There are VAs out there that speak perfect English with no accent, that are easy to understand. You just have to find them. That's a big part of what we do, right? So I own a headhunting agency, and so I help people with this. We go out and we find, and that's kind of what we specialize in, by the way, are these higher level folks that speak great English, and that can be very, very easily understood, and, so that you're not going through that challenge. How about this? Not all of them are from the Philippines and India. Now it's true, about 60% of the people that we hire are out of the Philippines, but I got to tell you, we hire people from all over the world. I hired somebody from Costa Rica just the other day. We hired a couple out of Bolivia. We've hired out of England. We've hired out of South Africa. We hire from all over Europe. There are great people all over the world that have phenomenal skills, that are willing to work at rates that are very affordable. You just have to know how to find them, and I'm going to show you that in a minute here. I'm going to show you some ideas on how you can find them and all that. They often require less management than local staff, and let me tell you, this is huge. One of the things we do is we use a time tracking software that literally, when they log in, so they come to work in the morning. They show up at their desk in the morning. They have to log into the software, and if they step away from their desk for even 3 minutes, it will log them out. So it knows if they go use the restroom, guess what? They're not on my clock if they're using the restroom. I'm only paying for the time that they're working. And that's huge. Now, check this out. It also takes screenshots of their computer every 9 minutes. Now, they know that the screenshots are being taken, but they don't know when they're being taken. But because it's taking these screenshots, I know that they're working. I know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're not playing solitaire when they're supposed to be working. It'll also tell me if they've been on any websites like Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or any other waste of time websites that they don't necessarily need to be on when they're on my clock. It'll actually send me an alert. It'll tell me if they were late. It'll tell me if they were on time. It'll tell me how many hours they worked. It is phenomenal. And oh, by the way, it's $20 a month. It's cheap. It's super affordable. And now I have all that information, and I know that my VAs are working as efficiently as humanly possible. And so I don't even have to manage them. I don't have to monitor that software, and I don't. I mean, it does its thing, and if there's something I need to know, it will tell me. I love it. Their work quality is often superior to local staff as well. Because I have the world as my marketplace for employees, I can find the very, very best person for each job whose works and skills are specifically designed for what it is I need to be done. So I can really dial in it from a quality standpoint that way. All right. By the way, here's a little testimony. In fact, I just talked to this guy this morning. His name is Ken Kellerman. He owns a company called Sales Advantage Group in California. He says, my virtual assistant is terrific. She saves me money, does a fantastic job, and is invaluable to my business. The process of hiring through virtual assistant staffing was easy, fast, and efficient. With the free trial, I knew I had nothing to lose. I highly recommend this service. He's a great guy. He's been a client for a long time, in fact. About 6 months ago, 8 months ago, maybe it was a year now, I don't know. He gave his assistant a raise. He loved her that much, and he's had her for quite a while. So how do you know when you should hire a VA? Because let's face it, not everybody's ready for a virtual assistant. So how do you know if you are? Well, if you're ready for growth, if you've experienced attrition, if you feel overwhelmed, maybe you need to save some money, maybe you're just ready to take your business to that next level, and above all, when you can afford one. Now, what does it mean to be able to afford one? Well, generally speaking, you want to plan on at least $500 a month when you hire a VA to make sure that you're getting enough time with them and to make sure you're getting a high enough skill set. But I'll tell you that it's pretty common for a client to spend about $500 every 2 weeks for a really, really high-level VA. Now, you could be less than that, you could be more than that, but at the end of the day, make sure that you've budgeted for it so that once you get your VA started, you know that you're going to be able to keep them long term. Don't bet on the come, so to speak. And what that means is don't Don't hire a virtual assistant and hope that you'll have the income by the time your bill comes due to pay them. Make sure that you are in that position where, yeah, you've got a real business. You're moving forward. You're working hard. It may be tight. That's fine if numbers are a little bit tight, because a virtual assistant is going to free you up to bring in a lot more business, and so it will help you grow your business. But make sure that you've budgeted properly, because nothing's worse than bringing somebody on your team and then you spend the time to train them and get them up to speed on how you want things done, and then you got to let them go a month later because you don't have the money to pay them. That's counterproductive for you. It's counterproductive for the VA. Make sure that you're ready for them when you hire them. Now, that being said, you should definitely connect. If you're going to use us, for example, you should connect with us ahead of time, and let's stay in contact. And when the time is right for you, we'll help you out. And if that's today, great. And if it's not for 6 months or a year or 2 years, that's okay too. We're the no pressure people. We just want to be here when you do need us. All right, so how do you find the right VA? I'm going to talk to you first about the do-it-yourself method, so that you can go out and you can check out. There's all kinds of different websites like Craigslist, Elance, Fiverr, 99 Designs, Odesk, Guru, Monster.com. There's job boards. There's colleges. There's universities all over the world. There's employment agencies all over the world. There's all these different places you can go for this information, to find these folks. Now, my suggestion is, know your process before you get into this. If you're going to do it yourself, you need to develop a process very similar to what we do. Let me show you how our process looks. We are a headhunter, and what we do is we guarantee the results for the client, right? So we make sure we take the risk out of it for the client, and we do that by giving them that free test drive to make sure they can test out that VA for a week. Now, the VAs, they don't want to work for a week for free. So we actually pay them for that week so that the client can test them out and make sure they're the right fit for their team. We also have a proven system for finding, vetting, and hiring people, and we have flexible plans, where they can work as much as 40 hours a week, or they can just use 2.5 hours a week. So you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into from that standpoint. Also, we take the management of payroll, taxes, resolving issues. We kind of act as the virtual HR department for our clients. Now, our process, and I'm going to share with you our specific process for finding these VAs. So whether you use us or do it yourself, this process needs to be followed. It's very, very important. So take notes if you have a pen and paper or something to write with. So what we do is we'll go out and we'll look at, for every position we're hiring for, we'll look at between 400 and 500 resumes. And we'll go through all these resumes, and we look at them very, very carefully, and we then interview the ones that we think are the best out of that group. And we do that voice-to-voice. We do it over Skype, actually. And so we do our voice-to-voice interviews, and when we've done voice-to-voice interviews, we then decide who we think are the best out of that group, and we send them through a testing process. And this testing process is pretty robust. We do everything from skills tests to internet connection speed tests, to English tests. We even do what's called a DISC personality profile test on each one of them, because we want to make sure that their personality is the right fit for the job that we're getting ready to put them into, or that we're considering putting them into. Then, after we've done all of that, we do a second round of interviews, voice-to-voice, with an executive member of our team. And then and only then will we even consider placing them. And oftentimes, we have to go back through that process again because we're not happy sometimes with who we've got out of that. And so we'll go back through that entire process again, and we'll do that as many times as it takes to get to the right person. Now, that sounds like a lot of work. Yes, I get it. And it is a lot of work. And frankly, that's why a lot of people hire us to do that for them. Now, that being said, it's okay if you want to do this on your own. And if you want to do this on your own, make sure you do not shortcut that process. You really do need to go through that thorough process to make sure you're getting the right person. Because let me tell you, when you get the wrong person on your team, it's a disaster. When you get the right person on your team, it is a life-changing decision. It is something that will make your business and your life absolutely better than you could have ever imagined, but you've got to get that right person, and that means doing your homework, doing your research, or hiring someone like us to do it for you. All right, so let's talk about that one-week gift to you. So what's going to happen is after this webinar, everybody that registered for this webinar is going to get a call from one of my virtual assistants. I'm also going to shoot you a quick email, and all you need to do is just let us know if you'd like to take advantage of that 1 week free gift. If you do, awesome. We'll take care of you, and we'll get you the 1 week of virtual assistant time absolutely free. If not, just let us know that you'd rather not communicate with us, or that you'd rather not use a virtual assistant or whatever, and we'll take you off our list and we won't contact you ever again. That's fine. I don't ever want you to feel pressured by us, and we certainly don't want to be offering you free bonuses and gifts and all that if you really don't want to be on our list. Then once we get on the phone with you, our virtual assistant is going to set up a time for you to speak with myself or my partner. And one of the two of us are going to dig deep into your personal needs. We're going to find out exactly what you want in a VA. We'll shoot you over our standard agreement, which will protect your information and ensure your confidentiality so that you know that you don't have to worry. For example, if you have a bookkeeper or something like that, you're going to want things kept confidential. We'll take care of that for you. Then we're going to go out. We're going to search the world for your perfect virtual assistant. Once we have that person found, which, by the way, takes about 2 weeks, we're going to bring them back to you, and you're going to get to test drive them for 1 full week for free. If you love them, or I should say when you love them, because generally speaking, I would say more often than not, you're going to love the person we get you. And when you do, then we'll begin billing you after that 1 week trial period. If for some crazy reason you don't absolutely love them, give me a call, and we'll give you a couple options. We'll either just get rid of them. If you just want to cancel at that point and not move forward at all, that's fine. We can make that happen. Or if you just think, gosh, you know what, Michael, I really love having a VA, but that particular VA wasn't the right fit, well, no problem. We'll get rid of that VA. We'll get you a new one, and I'll give you another full 1 week trial absolutely free so that you can make sure that the new one is the right long-term fit for your team. Pretty cool. Pretty straightforward stuff. And while you're mulling that over, I want to share with you just a quick success tip, a great way to use virtual assistants that really makes a difference. If you want to guarantee your success at every event you go to, we all go to events. We network with people, right? And we collect all these business cards at these events thinking, oh, I'm going to call that person back. And guess what happens? A lot of times most of us don't call them back, or I should say a lot of people don't call them back. I do, and here's why I do. What I do is I take those cards, and instead of sticking them on my desk at home or in a shoebox or in a drawer somewhere where they never get dealt with, before I even leave the event, before I head to the airport, I walk down to the front desk of the hotel, and I have them scan those business cards in and email them to me. I've never had a hotel tell me no on this. They always do it, and they never charge me for it. Then I take that email and I forward it to my virtual assistant. Once I've forwarded that to my virtual assistant, one of my VAs inputs them and calls them to set an appointment for me to talk with those people. So literally, I get an appointment set with every single person I met at that event that I want to talk to. It's huge. I never, ever, ever miss out on an opportunity to follow up with somebody. And guess what? That's why my network has grown. My affiliates, I started off, I had 0 affiliates about 2 years ago. Within 1 year, I had 850 affiliates referring myself and my business to people that they know. That's huge. I was able to accomplish that because of this system. And it's very, very easy to implement. You can do it. You can make this happen in your business. Now, also, I want you to think about something else. Rainmakers oftentimes we're our own worst enemy. We always have this nobody can do it as well as me syndrome. Well, the fact of the matter is that might be true or it might not be true. Really, truly, there's always somebody that can do it better, right? But that being said, even if I can find people and surround myself with people on my team that can do it, 75 or 80% as well as I can, that's a victory. Because guess what? Now I'm freed up to go do what really makes money in my business, and I've got them doing a great job behind me. So what I would recommend, even if you're not ready to hire a virtual assistant yet, whether you are or not, you need to make a list of every single thing that you do in your business every single day. Why? Because you want to get efficient. Then you want to, after you've taken that and made that list, just brain dump onto that piece of paper. Go back through it and highlight everything that you would love to get off your plate. Guess what? You just created the job description for your virtual assistant. And when we talk to you on the phone, we can go through that list together with you, and we can identify, okay, these 10 things can be done by one person. These 2 or 3 things need to be done by a separate individual. And we can kind of determine which job descriptions make the most sense for you and for your business right now, and we can go target those folks. Training is critical. I'll tell you this, no matter who you bring on board, local, abroad, doesn't matter, you absolutely get out of your team what you put into them. I am a believer that training is not something you do once, it's something you do once every day. 5 days a week for 15 to 20 minutes, you should be training your team. And it's really easy. Just do a daily huddle. You get everybody on the phone for 15 to 20 minutes, talk about yesterday's accomplishments. And by the way, you can do this on Skype. We do this on Skype. It's great. And so we talk about yesterday's accomplishments, today's goals and tasks. What are we going to get done today? What are the potential challenges or roadblocks that might make it difficult for us to get our work done today? I take the time to motivate, inspire, and direct the efforts of my troops. And I also, sometimes with my folks that are going to have client interaction, I'll do some role playing with them just to make sure that they are talking and answering questions in the right way. And of course, I want to make sure I train at every opportunity, so I'll teach them something new on each one of those calls. Some great tools for this are Jing, Screencast, Camtasia. You can also use GoToWebinars is a great resource for training your team, because again, you can record that training and anybody that needs to watch it again for any reason can jump in and watch that one more time. A couple other free tools that we love and that we use on a daily basis are Skype and Dropbox. Skype and Dropbox are very, very helpful. They're both free and they're both super, super cool tools. So check out Skype.com and Dropbox.com. All right, so again, here's how it works. We're going to give you a call. We're going to give you a chance to test drive your new virtual assistant for up to 40 hours or 1 full week on me. And by the way, that has a retail value of up to $1,000. That's a lot of money. And we're literally willing to give that to you absolutely for free, because we believe so strongly that when you test drive one of our virtual assistants, you're going to love them and you're going to want to keep them. Then you only pay if and when you feel you've got the right virtual assistant on your team. Now, keep this in mind. I can't guarantee that your first placement will be perfect. I'm a pretty transparent guy. I'm a believer in setting expectations properly from the get-go. Here's what I will tell you, though. You're never going to pay anything until you've got the right VA on your team, and I will always take 100% of the risk so that you don't have to. My goal is to make sure that we've provided you with the right virtual assistants, take the majority of tasks off your plate so that you can focus on money-generating activities. That way you can also work on your business and not in your business. This is huge. When you get to that point where you can start working on it more than in it, man, that's where the magic happens. Also, we're going to get you to more profit, less expense, and more free time. And isn't that what it's all about? Isn't it about the quality of life and the time that we have to do the things that we enjoy with the people that we love? All right, we're then going to develop a long-term relationship with you and your team, and hopefully you, just like Yolanda, will become a raving fan, referring us to everyone you know. And guess what? When you do that, we actually have an affiliate program, and we'll even pay you for referring people that you know to us. In fact, we'll even pay you when the people that you've referred to us refer other people to us. It's actually a 2-tiered affiliate program that pays very well. We've got affiliates that actually make a good little chunk of change every couple of weeks. So anyway, with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's open it up to questions and answers. And anybody that has a question, please go ahead and type it into your screen now. And I'm going to open up our questions box, and let's see. We do have a few questions here, and the question is from John. John says, am I obligated long-term? Do I have any kind of a long-term contract or commitment? And the answer is no, we do not have any long-term commitment or contract. In fact, in our paperwork, it says very, very clearly that the client may cancel this agreement at any time with or without cause. So you are never, ever, ever locked in. That's huge. All right, so what are your rates after the test drive? Well, it depends on what type of position you're hiring for and how many hours a week you want to use them for. And by the way, Shirley, thank you for that question. It's a great question. So give me an example. If you wanted a bookkeeper, let's say you need a full-time bookkeeper, you'd be at $9 an hour. That same bookkeeper part-time would be $11 an hour. And so now you can use as little as 2.5 hours a week. And so, you know, there's all kinds of different options, both website design and development. I mean, you know, that's a very, very, very high-end position. You know, you'd be at $25 an hour flat rate. Now, maybe you want an executive assistant. A lot of factors go into how much it would cost for an executive assistant. For example, do you want someone with an accent? Maybe with a mild accent, or do you want somebody with no accent? Or heck, you might even want somebody with a sexy British accent. Well, we can accommodate all of those requests. We just need to know what it is you want, and we will get that. We'll make sure that you know the price going into it. But for the sake of our purposes today, keep in mind that it's less expensive to have a heavier accent, and it costs a little bit more for someone with no accent. So great question. I appreciate that. And we will go over all of that when we have our call with each of you. We will go over very, very specifically every price point that you would be looking at and your specific situation. All right. Now, Rose, I got part of your question, but I didn't get all of it. And so definitely if you could throw in a little more on your question, I'd appreciate that. And Kaveri, I'm having a hard time. Let's see, what's the highest good for me? And it really depends. Kaveri, maybe you could type in there a little bit more about what type of position you're thinking about and that sort of thing. So let me see here. Since here's another one, Scott. Since I'm not making ends meet in my biz and living off savings along with a few clients pay me, it's tempting to hire one of your VAs. I've been told I should wait until I can afford to hire a VA, but I'm drowning in my daily tasks in my business. I'm a copywriter. Oh, great. We do have great copywriters, by the way. And the copywriters, you're going to pay, they're not cheap, for really, really good copywriters. Now, if you want copywriters that have, their grammar's not perfect or something like that, they're not too expensive. But for somebody that's a really, really solid copywriter that, sounds like they live next door to you in Texas or, California or whatever, they're going to be in that $13 to $15 an hour range. And they're going to be great copywriters. Let's see, and you're talking about sales and marketing copy. They have to be really solid, push the envelope, will create words, phrasing, and all that good stuff. Yeah, you're probably going to want to be in that $13 an hour range would be my guess. Okay, so let's see. Do you have access to translators, i.e. English to French translation? And what would the fees look like for that? And would it be per word? No, it wouldn't be per word. It would be per hour. And the answer is yes, absolutely. We have access to translators that can do English, French, or English any other language. Or heck, if you needed a French Swedish translator or whatever, you'd be amazed at what's out there. We can literally find whatever it is you're looking for in that regard. Gosh, great questions, by the way, everybody. I appreciate your awesome questions. Let me keep going. I got a few more. And yes, you're welcome. Thank you, Kaveri. I appreciate you being here and taking the time for the webinar today. And here's one. I'm not ready quite yet. Can I do a test drive in a few months? And the answer is absolutely. You bet. At this point in time, we have no intention of canceling the free test drive program. It's been very successful for us. And so what we're going to recommend is let's get in touch with one another. And when we contact you, make sure that I've got your current contact information and email address and all that so that we can kind of stay in touch. And when you are ready, whether it's a few months from now or a year from now, whenever it is that you're ready, let's take action then, and we'll help you out then. And in the meantime, we're not going to pressure you or bug you or anything like that. We just want to make sure that we're here and available to you when and if you decide that you're ready and need us. So great questions, everybody. I really appreciate the questions. And so with that, we are nearing the end of our time together. I know that you all have busy days. I want to make sure that you're able to get to those days. For those of you that do not, have, or if for some reason you don't receive a call from my office here in the next few days, feel free to email Yolanda. I know that you all have Yolanda's contact information, so feel free to just shoot her an email and let her know that you'd be interested in reaching out to us and talking with us about hiring a virtual assistant, and we'll get you taken care of. And for the rest of you, just be expecting a call and an email from my office, and we'll communicate that way. And let me just read. I've got one last comment. Oh, and this is great. Thank you, Jay, for this. Jay Westbrook says, thank you so much. You are very generous, clear, direct, articulate, and absolutely service-based. I look forward to speaking with your office, Jay Westbrook. Jay, thank you very, very much for that. That's very nice of you to say that. And hopefully you and I will get to chat directly. It'll either be you and I directly or my partner will be speaking with you directly. So one of the two of us will be taking the time to talk with you. And it's been very much my pleasure to be here today with all of you. And I can't say enough again how much I appreciate you taking the time out for today's webinar. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close. All of you have a great day. And please remember, I want you to remember one thing. You can do this. You can be successful in today's market. You can be successful in the location that you're in now. You just have to want it bad enough and remember that you are world class.